The mayor has.
Thank you, Council Chairman. Two people I want to keep in our prayers. Mr. George Bodie, one of our directors, he's in the hospital currently right now. He's facing some surgery, pretty serious surgery on Tuesday morning, so we can keep him in our prayers. I would totally appreciate that. And then also Captain Christy Seavers' father with the Kenner Police Department, Captain Christy Seavers. Her father passed away on October 20th. His name is Charles Raymond Lutz Sr. Please keep her family and also her in your prayers, and I believe the service is going on right now.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Father Miles from Our Lady of Perpetual Help to lead us in the prayer. Yeah, that's it.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Let's take a moment to practice the presence of God. All those intentions of our hearts, families, as a governing body of Kenner. The Lord is always in our midst, as close to us as our heart, and only a prayer away. Lord, I ask you to bless all of those members of this parish council and all those who work in any capacity to govern and direct our community. We ask you, Lord, to give guidance and direction to all. Help us to look to you. Help us not to exclude you, but to bring you into our life and even into our city and parish. Grant this, gracious Lord, for Jesus' sake, as he taught us to pray, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Just one last note. I was impressed by that awareness of the chaos that we seem to be going through in federal government, whatever government. Let's just pray that men and women will work together for the common good. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Lee Roussel, could you please lead us in the pledge?
If everyone would place their hand over their heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam President, you have a quorum. Council members Segure and Carroll are not present. Do we have any resolutions, motions, or other items from the floor today? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of October 10th, 2019. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2192-19, Melinda Orellana, to hold a public gathering on October 31st, 2019 from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of a Halloween gathering, trick-or-treat, in the 200 block of Cotton Bayou Lane in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 2193-19, First Baptist Church of Kenner to hold a public gathering on October 31st, 2019 from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for the purpose of a trunk-or-treat, First Baptist Church at 1400 Williams Boulevard in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 4 is correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads. Item 4A, at the request of the administration, a report from Mayor Zahn.
Thank you. A few things to go over this morning, and if you bear with me, I'll tell you, Council President, that we have a few presentations after I do these little notes. Code sweeps. Let me talk about code sweeps real quick. All in District 2 over the last week from the 16th to the 23rd. Code Department was out there, 900 block to 1,700 blocks of Hudson and Taylor Total violations were 25, warning violations were 19, court summons were 0. They skipped over to the 2,000 block to 2,100 blocks of Florida on the 17th, 2,100 block to the 2,200 blocks of Williams, 900 block to 1,800 blocks of Clay. Total violations were 38, warning violations were 32, court summons were 0. On the 18th, in District 2, they went to the 900 block to 1,800 blocks of Compromise. Total violations were 15, warning violations were 14, court summons were 0. Then on the 23rd, they went to the 1,900 to the 2,300 blocks of Florida, Delaware, and Connecticut. Total violations were 38, and warning violations were 19, court summons were 0. Actually, that shows a little bit of improvement because, as you see, not a lot of court summons were given. For the number of streets that the Code Enforcement Department did, if you look at the violations and the warning violations, they might be a lot, but they're not as high as what you would expect for all those areas. So I want to commend James Mohammed, Molly McGinnis, and all the men and women of the Kenner Code Department for the job that they continue to do, and we're very happy as the administration, I'm sure you all also as the council. More good news, the sales tax from August was just received in October. That's the way it works. We collected for the month $3.1 million. Is that good? Yes, because it's 13% increase from this time last year. So our sales tax have gone up 13% for that month from last year. Collections are up 8.2% over the last year for this time. So as you see, things are continuing to move forward in the city of Kenner. I want to announce right now that we have 2 restaurants that have opened up since the last council meeting. It's Shawarma on the Run, I believe it is, by El Paso, and also we've had Fiery Crab open up over the last 2 weeks. I think there's some choices out there. If you look in Councilman Brannigan's district, you'll see that Arby's is putting their sign up. I mean, these are things that are making a difference in our sales tax. So thanks to the administration, of course, each and every council person for the job that they do. Trunk or Treat will be this Wednesday. We're doing a little bit different format this year. It's going to be from 6 to 8. It's going to be in the Esplanade Mall by our gymnastics center, which translates to the public as the old Old Navy site. So if you enter through the mall entrance on the side facing Green Lawn Playground by the Duncan Canal, you enter through that last entrance right before the Macy's building, you will see a number of us set up to give away free candy and trinkets to all the kids in the city of Kenner. So I know a couple of the council, a number of the council are involved in this. We appreciate it. So is my office. I think we have our fire department. I think the Kenner Police Department, and a number of other organizations, some local churches too. So it's a good thing to do for the community. I think, no matter whether it rains or not, we're going to be okay. We're going to be inside, and it's also going to help generate some traffic flow into the mall, which is what a main thing that we're trying to do, each and every one of us. We have 3 things to go over today, 3 separate presentations. If you could bear with us through this, the mayor comments might last longer than the council meeting today because we have Stan Tech here to talk about, in Gilchrist, to talk about the flyover. We have our fire chief will come up after that to talk about the 2 recent fires in the city of Kenner. And we'll also have Heather Hilliard come up to talk about some of the items on the agenda that relate to flood elevation. I know she's spoken to probably each council person, maybe except for Councilman Carroll. If I could ask Heather to get with Councilman Carroll before she does the presentation, that'd be great. But we're going to do Stan Tech and Gilchrist first on the flyover because we do have our State Representative Joe Stagney and our State Representative, soon-to-be Senator Kurt Talbot here. And I want to say both these gentlemen have been very instrumental in helping with what we've gotten to. So I look forward to these 2 working together with the city of Kenner, and I know they want to stay for this presentation. They may have a few comments after that they want to add into it, but right now we have the flyover presentation.
Thank you for asking us to come to show you the Loyola project. I'd like to see, of course, I'm Tim Nickel from DOTD. Like to see the interest in the community in such a great project. Hopefully we get some good feedback from you all. The least we want to ever do as any kind of impact or minimize any impacts that may occur. And we're hoping that what we do end up with here is something really great for the community and really helps the community out. So again, Tim Nickel from DOTD, and I'm going to give it over to Randy Gilchrist and the Stantec Design Build team that's already begun some work, preliminary work. We have the public meeting coming up, and they've been really putting in the hours to get this together for y'all. So anyway, here's Randy.
Thank y'all for inviting us to give our presentation. We're excited about this project. We're excited about our team. We've got a great team working with DOTD through the design build process. This will be our 4th design build process with the Louisiana DOT out of the 10 they've done. And so we're excited, and a lot of work by a lot of great folks is happening every day to get this project going. So it's full speed. So Cindy, you want to?
We're going to just show a presentation that's going to actually be played at the public meeting next Tuesday. And then I guess if you all have any questions at the end, we'll be happy to answer those.
On behalf of the Louisiana Department of Transportation, we would like to welcome you to this public meeting for the I-10 at Loyola Drive Interchange Improvement Design Build Project. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to present the design builder's proposed alternative, including the design builder's pedestrian and bicycle plan, and to gather public comment about the proposed improvements. First, let's review the history of the project to date. The I-10 Loyola Interchange project is federally funded. Federal funds require compliance with the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA. The project was processed as an environmental assessment. Public involvement has included 3 meetings that were conducted in July, August, and November of 2018. Alternative I, with 3 flyover ramps, was selected as preferred alternative. A finding of no significant impact, FONSI, was signed in December of 2018. DOTD selected a design builder for the project. The design builder proposed an alternative technical concept. Therefore, a reevaluation of the design build alternative is required. The project study area is located along I-10 between the I-310 and Williams Boulevard interchanges. Along Loyola Drive, the project area extends from north of Georgetown Drive southward across Veterans Boulevard, where it becomes Aberdeen Street, to the airport. This project will tie into the airport access road that was recently built to the south. What is involved in the environmental review process? Since the proposed geometric configuration is different than the preferred alternative, the NEPA process requires a re-evaluation of the alternative to determine if there are significant changes to the environmental impacts. Tonight's public meeting is part of the re-evaluation process, in which we receive public input on the alternative for further study of the project impacts. The design builder's proposed alternative includes an at-grade diverging diamond interchange and 2 one-way flyover ramps to and from the new MSY Airport Terminal to I-10 east of Loyola Drive. The ramps fly over I-10 and Veterans Boulevard into the median of the airport access road. The proposed alternative does not include the flyover ramp from southbound Loyola Drive to I-10 eastbound. This change maintains cross-connectivity of the urban street grid north of I-10. It enhances opportunity for multimodal mobility and complements the existing neighborhoods, maintaining similar access with no division and fewer utility impacts. There are several critical utilities located within the Loyola median that will not be disrupted or require relocation with the design builder's alternative. There are also no impacts to access for the new fire station location. Removal of this ramp shortens construction time and reduces construction costs on the project. DDI interchanges have been shown to operate very well at locations with high volumes of left-turning traffic. The design builder's proposed alternative, shown on the left, has a distance of 390 feet between crossover intersections. The Moana Lane at I-580 interchange in Reno, Nevada, shown on the right, has very similar distances between crossovers. It also has a mixture of residential and commercial development and high traffic volumes, similar to Loyola Drive. The interchange has been in service since November of 2012 and is working well, handling average daily traffic volumes in excess of 36,000 vehicles per day along Moana Lane. Loyola Drive has average daily traffic volumes of 40,000 vehicles per day. Northbound and southbound traffic on Loyola Drive approaching I-10 will be guided through the crossover signals by the geometry, signing, and striping of the DDI interchange. The design provides very intuitive movements. You turn left to turn left and turn right to turn right. Left turns to the eastbound and westbound entrance ramps do not cross opposing traffic like a traditional intersection, which allows more traffic signal green time to be allotted to other movements in the interchange. This video gives a driver's eye view of what it would be like to drive through a DDI at the Loyola interchange. If you have attended the previous public meetings on this project, you have noticed that the design builder's alternative is similar to DOTD's alternative L, which included a DDI with 500 feet between crossover intersections. For this reason, the design builder's alternative will be referred to as Modified Alternative L in the reevaluation. DOTD's alternative L had the following impacts. The eastbound exit ramp impacted 59 residential and 8 commercial structures. The eastbound entrance ramp impacted 0.24 acres of Susan Park. The large footprint of this alternative impacted 5.7 acres of non-commercial and 6.1 acres of commercial property. Modified Alternative L impacts 4 residential and 5 commercial structures. It does not impact Susan Park. Locating the eastbound bridge in the median reduces impacts to residences and the dialysis center. The alternative requires approximately 4 acres less right-of-way than Alternative L and has a distance of 390 feet between crossover intersections. Modified Alternative L moves the crossover location further from the Veterans intersection, which improves the operations at Veterans. Modified Alternative L includes 2 flyover ramps that provide direct access from the new MSY Airport over Veterans Boulevard to I-10, east of Loyola Drive. South of Veterans, the ramps come together as a single structure in the median of the airport access road. This single structure will expedite construction and reduce property impacts east of the airport access road. Modified Alternative L does not require relocation for 6 residential duplexes and does not impact the dialysis center or Susan Park. The alternative does impact an additional business in the southwest quadrant of the interchange. Modified Alternative L provides several opportunities for community enhancements, including opportunities for landscaping and green space, incorporating features that blend or tie to the airport aesthetics, including the bridge structures, noise barriers, sign trusses, and lighting. The alternative provides a visual improvement over the ramp structure north of I-10 and provides bicycle and pedestrian improvements. This rendering of the proposed interchange shows a view from the northwest quadrant looking south towards the new airport terminal. The large DDI islands will provide refuge for pedestrians and opportunities for landscaping. The second rendering is a view from the southwest quadrant of the interchange and shows the flyover ramps to I-10 and the shared use path for bikes and pedestrians along the east side of Loyola Drive. Modified Alternative L provides new and enhanced multimodal connections that fit well with future plans from the City of Kenner and Jefferson Parish. The project improves safety for cyclists at the Loyola interchange and provides a two-way shared use path from Veterans to just north of the interstate. From there, sidewalks and a bike path continue to 31st Street. The project modifies signals to better accommodate bikes and pedestrians. And all-new LED lighting throughout the project along I-10 and Loyola, similar to the style of the new airport lighting. The proposed project requires a dead-end installation on 27th Street, east of the airport access road. The purple arrows shown on the pedestrian plan in your handout show the pathway for pedestrians that want to travel from the eastern portion of 27th Street to the western portion of 27th Street. The project will complete the sidewalk along the west side of Decatur Street and tie to the existing sidewalk on the south side of Veterans Boulevard. From there, the pathway will cross the airport access road at the signalized intersection with refuge areas. The pathway then travels along the west side of the airport access road to 27th Street. The total travel distance is 0.3 miles. Tonight, you've attended the public information meeting, an important step in the public involvement process. From here, we will review comments from this meeting and incorporate comments that improve the alternative. DOTD will gather your input while preparing the reevaluation of the environmental assessment document. All public comments collected this evening will be included in the reevaluation document. If the reevaluation findings are appropriate, the document will be submitted to the Federal Highway Administration for approval. You are currently in the presentation area at Station B. Please proceed to view the exhibits and speak with our project team. Ask questions and provide your comments. Your knowledge and opinions matter. We encourage you to provide feedback about whether or not this project will have an impact on your local community. We look forward to your suggestions or ideas on how these impacts could best be mitigated. Public meeting handouts with comment forms are available where you signed in at Station A and at Station G. The forms can be returned at Station G before you leave, or comment forms can be emailed or mailed. There is also a transcriber here tonight to record your verbal statement at Station G. If you choose to mail the comment form, please be sure that it is postmarked no later than November 8th to be included in the transcript of the meeting. The address for mailing is included on the comment form. Thank you for attending this public meeting. We look forward to hearing your feedback. The presentation will start again in 1 minute.
So I know there's some people from Stantec and Gilchrist in the audience. If any of you all have any comments or questions on this, as you can see, this is for Tuesday evening, which I was supposed to mention before we started, that we had that public hearing on Tuesday. So it's a presentation that the public will see. The public will see this weekend ahead of time. But if you have any questions, any comments, now's the time to do it. We can also do it Tuesday evening. I want to thank you all for coming, too.
First, I know they said, what's the updated length of the project? Is that that alternative? Do they have an estimate on that?
Project, it is the same length that it originally was.
Okay.
As far as our work on I-10, it's the same length.
Okay. Well, I meant by like, how many, is it going to be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? I'm sorry. Yes, time-wise, I apologize.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. Construction period is 3 years, 3 months.
On
Which-
behalf of the Louisiana Department of Transportation, we would like to welcome you to this public.
Yeah. Yeah, 39 months is the,
Okay. Okay, and then I just have,
And that's November of 2022 is
November
the end date by the
Okay.
contract.
And then my only other question is what, they mentioned that another business that will be affected. How are you guys notifying all of the potentially affected businesses so that they can attend this hearing?
Yes. DOTD is responsible for this public meeting, and I think that everyone along that route has been notified. It's the gas station in the southwest quadrant that is affected by this. And it was affected by some of the other alternatives that were previously considered. So that's one of the reasons we have to go back to the public.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilman Brannigan.
Well, Christie, you stole my question.
Oh,
I was going to see if you could do it like in 6 months instead of 39 months, but
Well, I didn't say all that.
The airport has asked if we could fly it in with a helicopter and just set it in place, but that, I don't know, it's not going to work, unfortunately.
I mean, you could use one of their planes and do it. I mean, is that all, Councilman Brannigan?
yes.
Yes, okay. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you guys for coming today with the presentation. So obviously on the 29th, when this is given to the public, the recording is going to be there. It's going to be in increments of however long it takes, and then it's going to loop again.
Going to loop again.
So, but we are going to have people in there
Yes.
to also ask questions as they arise from looking at the presentation. And how long it starts for what time again?
The meeting starts at 5 and ends at 7.
At 7. So after this presentation is done, are there plans to follow up and as we move forward with this project? And what's the schedule for that? I have something been made up yet for that schedule?
The schedule for the start of construction?
Yes.
We are hoping to actually start pile driving and those kind of activities in January. So we're in the process, it's a design-build project, so we're in the process of doing a lot of the design right now and getting ready to mobilize for construction. And the other effort on the project is acquiring the right-of-way. So after this public meeting is when that we can start approaching the property owners in the 5 properties that we need. The 5 commercial properties, and then there's some residentials as well.
Another question is, this presentation by the automated format is great. And I'm asking, is there a possibility for us to get this presentation and set it up on a kiosk basis and put it on some property in Kenner? Because everybody will not be able to make Tuesday night. Is there a possibility to get it and to have it at a location for any period of time for people to come in and watch it and go on? Is that something we can work on?
I would have to check with this is Tim Nickel, DOTD. I'd have to check with our environmental personnel. I would think that's something we could possibly do for them, have access, maybe either put it online or give it to whoever wants a copy of it. But we'll have it from 5 to 7 Tuesday. We'll have staff there. We'll have real estate agents there. We'll have the contractors team there. The city of Kenner should have got an invite for a stakeholders meeting. We'll have it 2 o'clock for the stakeholders to kind of preview and listen to additional comment there from the stakeholders. But if we can get something available to someone, we will.
So obviously, the internet, putting online is fine. And I think for large part of the population are internet savvy, IT savvy to do that. But I think to have this kiosk set up and for us to pick a location to have it is also beneficial for people if we can work that out. Do we get the 2 o'clock notice about that on the same date of the 29th?
Yes, sir.
And where is that going to be at?
Susan Park,
Susan Park Gym also. So will that be open to the public or will that not be open to the
the
public?
stakeholder meeting.
Yeah.
I
When you say stakeholders,
the stakeholder, any meeting we hold is really public, but it's set up for the stakeholders originally, so they may have particular questions. And then we have the public meeting. It just makes it more manageable, I guess.
true, I understand that.
It's basically the same thing we're going to have for the public. So,
Okay. All right then. So that's 2 o'clock at Susan, and then for the public at 6 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 to 7.
5 to 7.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I like to share my contact information with you guys before you leave also. And I may have, are y'all leaving like right after this presentation? If so, that's fine. I like to get your card, so if I think of some things, I like to ask. I like to do that. Okay.
Sure thing, yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. Excuse me. I had, looking at the presentation that you provided just now, it looks like we're going with a modified alternative L. Is that correct? And the reason why we had these changes, it has less of a negative impact on the community. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir, that's correct.
Could you expound a little bit on that? I know we saw some of the things in the film, but if you can elaborate a little further on it?
Yes, that is the reason for some of the changes we've made to our DDI alternative was to keep the footprint smaller, make less impacts on residents. I think it was listed in the slide, I think there used to be 59 residences and many commercial businesses affected by the project. So we just made it a smaller footprint, and the DDI works very well for the traffic volumes that interchange experiences. So we basically brought that up as an alternative technical concept during the procurement phase, and DOTD agreed to allow us to proceed with that. So it's been vetted by DOTD, and now we're moving forward with that concept. And it's really all about the footprint of the original one was a lot larger footprint, so we're trying to squeeze that down.
So it's evolved into this, and this is, y'all believe this is a better footprint than the original one, correct?
Correct.
And it helps the community more?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Brennan.
Council Chair, thank you all for being here this morning and for your presentation. I just wish to clarify, you said 3 years, 3 months, that would be November of 2022. Next week is, I'm not trying to be funny in saying this, next week is November. So really, we're already in the start. I'm assuming, so we're really 3 years away. Is that?
That's true.
Knock on wood, everything barring
Yes.
any.
The 3 years, 3 months was from when we received notice to proceed. So that's what that was. Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And this weather impacts could change that. I mean, that's, but hopefully not. I mean, it's.
So we could buy some big umbrellas or something.
That's it, yes, sir.
And
Thank you
we're
very
hoping
much.
there'll be some improvements early on as the contractor goes through various phases, like the DDI or whatever gets phased in, how the sequence is. We're hoping to see some improvements along the way as we go.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
And I believe, do they have a member of the public that would like to speak?
Yes,
Just say, if you could state your name and your address.
Anna Franklin, 2733 Tifton Street, Kenner, Louisiana. And the question that I have is, we have a gym, which is Susan Park Gym, that's located where all of this traffic interchanges, but I haven't heard anything of how to get the children safely across all of these new lanes that's open. We don't have any way to get those kids across unless you'd have to go all the way down Vet, turn around, come back, and then come back to the gym on the opposite side. We don't have anything safe to get the children, well, the majority of the children, but anybody that's using that gym. So do anybody have any ideas of how we're going to get across all of this traffic safely to get the kids across the gym with
I think I guess if you guys can talk after this, and I know that if you attend the public meeting, I know that's obviously a good, very important concern. I know that's one of the things that they would value to hear at the public meeting.
We do have a pedestrian plan that we're going to present at the public meeting. It was covered in this quick video, but we're going to have our exhibit there, and people will be there to speak to the public about the pedestrian plan. And we have made some considerable improvements to the pedestrian flow, and bicycle traffic as well is handled by our interchange, so.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, at the intersection, there'll be pedestrian crossings with the lights.
Okay, great, thank you. Councilman Carroll?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Ms. Franklin for coming up for that question, and also to tell everyone that this is why we have these hearings, to be able to get questions from the people who are on the ground there for this. So when we meet on Tuesday, if there are other questions that you may not be able to ask today, please write them down, and because the opportunity then would be able to forward them to you guys, correct, to be able to address and see what direction we will go into. So please don't hold back any question, don't suppress anything. Write it down, come to the meeting on Tuesday to be able to ask and to present it to everyone. Thank you, Madam President.
Great, thank you. And ma'am, would you like to make a comment?
Yes. My name is Delanor Junis. I have lived in Veteran Heights 23 years. I moved away 5 years ago because of my job, but I came back to find the airport and all this just going on. The city of Kenner has not communicated well with our subdivision. Basically, we feel like y'all have just come in and disregarded us, just like this meeting on Tuesday. I'm hearing about this meeting maybe a few days before. There's no flyers, no information to let the community know that this is going on, that these meetings are going on. We are average working people, so no, we don't have time to come at 11 o'clock and be in a lot of these meetings. So information needs to filter better to that community. The quality of our life has been affected by this project. We're talking about all the new restaurants and things are opening up in other districts, but our district is losing stuff. We're gonna lose a restaurant, we're gonna lose a gas station, so now we're gonna have to cross these sections even more than we normally did before. So now our safety is at hand. So I have the same concern that Ms. Franklin has about our children getting to the playground. We don't even use the playground anymore. I moved back a couple of months ago, and I noticed that we don't have a football team, we don't have cheerleading, we don't have anything. That park is now become a facility for Kenner to use to make money. NCI is there filming, but we can't play in the gym. Our children can't swing. So it affects our community, and it's not in a positive way. Y'all keep saying the minimum negative imprint on the community. No, it's a maximum. Our quality of life is affected. You gutted a community. We have an east and west of one community. That's a big impact, big impact. So as a group, we need to get more information. Don't think we don't care. We're working, we're taking care of our families. That's why we're not here. It's not because we don't care about our community, because I've been there 23 years, so I care. Stop, slow this motion down. Y'all going too fast, y'all not involving us. Like I said, we need people to get information out to let them know that these meetings are going on. And we will be at the 2 o'clock meeting too, because if it's still not my property, when you remove a property, it does affect me. So I'm a stakeholder no matter what. And people who own property, because some of us do own the property. Property owners are back there. So just slow down. Quality of life is being affected, and it's not minimum. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mayor Zahn? Do you have?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, we, as a standard, we send out notifications via advocate times, at least 7 or so days beforehand, and we give out flyers. It's a standard protocol for every project we do. We're required to do that for this one as well. You know, we're happy to do whatever it takes to make sure we can address what we can within reason.
Thank you.
I'd like to.
Oh.
Yeah. And thanks again, Ms., for coming in and your many years to supporting a number. You said a number of things that address the project, that address the playground, that address the recreation, that are standalone issues themselves that has to be addressed. I do believe that we are still using the playground, but not at the capacity that we should. And there are a number of issues for that we will have to address going forward. And I will be addressing myself going forward. We can always improve on the way that we get the information out to people. And because the normal way through the internet that most of the world are using, which is great, but we have to find other ways to connect to people who may not look at the internet. And we just started getting the newspaper back, so that is another way. But to be able to pass out flyers and to ensure that it's for the entire community of not only Veteran Heights, but Susan Park also. So we have to improve on that. We could put it on the Kenner Facebook. I can put it on my District 1 Facebook. We can get people to pass the flyers out like the gentleman said. So this will be a continuous path for the next 2 or 3 years as information needs to be put out as the construction goes on. It's good to hear that it'll be less construction, but listen, I hear the passion in your voice, and there's no doubt in my mind that you care about it, and many of the people do care about it. So I care about it. So it is something that we have to be conscious of, and it's good to tell people sometimes, I care about this, and don't think that we don't. So I appreciate those comments, and as we move forward, it is our responsibility, all of us here, all administration, to ensure that we have that empathy, that information, and to understand the people who live in the Susan Park and Veteran Heights, and the business owners along Veterans Highway. So I look forward to having this conversation on Tuesday, 2 and at 5 o'clock, and to get the information in, to pass the information on. Because listen, it was a big, once that wall went up on 27th Street, like you said, it cut off from east to west. Now, I heard and saw some of the information that they're going to have some way to get across, but that was a major impact. And maybe there may be some other things that we can do as it relates to connecting the two back again. But those are conversations we will have in the future. And thanks again for coming today. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilmot, and you'll be next, Ms. Marilla.
And I just wanted to ditto some of the comments that Councilman Carroll just made, and I agree. We all care. And it does impact somewhat in a negative way, and we want it to be the smallest possible footprint because that way it does create the least amount of problems to our community. We want this to be a viable project, but at the same time, we don't want it to harm the community. So we ask that you come to this meeting that's going to be next Tuesday. It's important to express yourself and the concerns that you may have so it can hopefully be addressed. If it's a concern that they can, I'm sure that they'll look at it and try to do the best that they can within their power to help us alleviate any of the problems we have. So please come to that meeting. It's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. Mr. Marilla.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. Few months back, word out on the street was, since we have residents here from Susan Park talking about the gym, word out on the street a few months ago was that there may be some plans in the works to demolish that gym. So my question is, if anybody, is there any current plan or any plan down the road, or is this just rumors out on the street? That's why I'm asking this question. And I want to thank the ladies for coming down here from Susan Park and speaking on the subject. Anybody?
So you heard that at a council meeting?
No, I didn't hear it at a council meeting,
didn't hear
Mayor.
from us?
I heard it out on the street.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
okay, that's
That's why I'm asking now. I'm
that's
trying to get a
worth.
confirmation.
No, rumors on the street, that's what it's worth. But no, absolutely.
No plans, no current plans, nothing down the road.
There's never been, Councilman Carroll, have I ever had discussions with you about demolishing Susan Park Gym? Thank you. No, I think you got two elected officials that represent that area that say no. That's ridiculous.
Okay, that's why I'm trying to clear it up now. We got these people down here. I heard it. I wanted to hear it from y'all. Okay?
And Mr. Morella, as a young man that grew up playing on the playground at Buddy Lawson, and as a coach and as a parent, and you know, the involvement I've had with the recreation, believe me, if anything, as it relates to any playground, not just District 1, would come up like that, I would be addressing that front and center.
I hear you.
So you can be assured if that, anything that I'd ever hear, but I've never heard anything, never, the mayor and I never had that conversation, never from the administration. So it is things that happen or are said sometimes, but I've never gotten that. But if it is, I will let you know about that. I'll let everybody know about that.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank y'all. Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marilla. I just want to say that thank you for the residents of Veterans Heights. I went to your Civic Association meeting last week, and I know that you're trying to build up your Civic Association, and I think this is definitely an impact to your neighborhood. But I do want to remind you that this was, this is not the moving of the airport is not something that the city of Kenner initiated, is not something that so we are responding, we're being proactive, and we're making sure that we're all working together as community members to maximize, to have the least effect on the quality of your life. So we're aware of that, and we are doing, we're doing our job, and we want to work with you and be partners on that. So thank you. Oh, Ms. Hoshi.
Sorry. Hi, this is just largely in response to a comment one of the ladies made, and thank you everyone for coming to give us this information. I don't want the public to think we do not have programming at Susan Park. Hold on a second. Because I do know that there was a time where a community meeting tried to be scheduled, and NCIS has previously scheduled it. However, currently what we have at Susan Park is a 5-6-year-old flag football team, a 7-8-year-old tackle football team, a 9-10-year-old tackle football team, and so far we have 13 cheerleaders registered. So please bring your children out. We would love to have them at Susan Park or at any of our other gymnasiums.
Thank you, Ms. Hoshi. Any other comments? Thank you. Mayor Zahn. Oh.
We still have one. We have a state representative in the audience, Joe Stagney. He would like to make a few comments on behalf of the state. And again, let me just say, I believe we've come this far with the help from Joe and his colleagues of where we've gotten here, besides the other entities, the OTD and the governor's office being involved. But I do want to thank Joe again for his help. Joe?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor, council
Speak up.
members. Thank you, Mayor, council members. I had to step out, so I did not hear the entire presentation, but I want to go on record to commend Mayor Zahn and this council for cooperation that was needed to bring this project and the project that preceded this, the temporary fix to the traffic nightmares that we're going to suffer in record time, because you all's work and this mayor's work with the governor enabled us to do about a $6.8 million expansion at Loyola Drive to accommodate some of the traffic problems. We did it so quickly that opened up, that was finished and opened up before the original date of the terminal supposedly opening. And so we're talking here about the flyover, the DDI. I want to commend Gilchrist, Good Louisiana Company, who put in a bid that was some almost $60 million cheaper than the two next bidders. And they did it in a way that was creative and addressed the impact to our citizens. As you all know, especially Councilman Carroll, that is one of the most pedestrian-dependent areas in the city. And you'll see on these maps that they have put some sound walls, they put some pedestrian trails in place to accommodate the citizens. They listened to everything in the 3 previous public hearings and addressed it with their creative design for this intersection. So I would just like, again, and I'm sure you all said it, Tuesday from 5 to 7 at Susan Park Gym at 502 Veterans, there's going to be a public hearing, and your concerns matter. The concerns that were voiced at those previous public hearings are all in this design today. And so I would ask the public to try to be there. I know a lot of our officials would be there. And again, go on record to give a lot of thanks to this mayor, Mayor Zahn, this council, and this governor, because together we've been able to do something that wasn't even on the books 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So we're addressing concerns that are going to impact our city. And I'm thankful to be able to work with all of you in doing that, and I hope to see you Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Stagney.
Okay, I only have 10 more things. No, I'm joking. Two more things. We have our fire chief, Terrence Morris, that's here to come up to the podium. Let me just say this. We've had 2 fires, 2 major fires within the last 2 weeks since we met. I want to thank Terrence Morris, Chief Morris, and his staff, and all the men and ladies of the Kenner Fire Department for what they have done. I asked Terrence to come here and give a report because one of them was had some questions on it last Friday night. I think we me and my staff and also the chief spent our whole Friday night back and forth with text messages and out at the site. So, Chief Morris.
Thank you, Mayor Zine, for allowing me this time to address the council and the community about the fire protection for the city of Kenner. And I want to thank you too, Councilman Brennan. You asked me last time to come up and speak on to address the issues with the fire protection for Veterans Heights and Susan Park area. And you granted me the time to expound on what I said then, to clarify some of the stuff or to clear up some of the stuff that I said at that time. I want to use this time to address the two recent fires and hopefully educate the community regarding fire protection. There's a lot of false information that's being spread out in the community about what's happening, and I hope to eliminate some of that here. I won't get into precise times and information about it for public safety reasons. So I want the community to be aware that that Kenner is growing, and with growth comes change. And when change happens, you have issues arise. And when the issues arise, we'll address the issues as they present themselves. Sometimes addressing those issues is not a speedy process, so I need the community to be patient with us in that regard. First of all fire departments follow a set of guidelines set up by the National Fire Protection Association, the NFPA, if you will. And they set this catalog of information, sets everything from the gear that we wear, the type of gear we wear, the type of training we do, the type of equipment we do, how far the smoke detectors, they do everything. They pretty much cover everything that deals with public safety. And it's all rooted in science, not in what somebody says or what somebody believes. It's stuff that's been tested and tried. And that's what they put out guidelines for all departments to follow, and that's what we follow. Last week, we had 2 fires in the city. We had the first fire on Monday at 5 a.m. By the time the first unit arrived, flames were through the roof. Okay, we strategically placed 3 apparatus to fight the fire. One of the apparatus, we had to run a supply line across Veterans to supply one of the fire trucks. Okay, once we placed the fire under control, we were able to remove that line that holds from Veterans to allow the traffic to flow. I spoke with Councilman Segura after that incident about having hydrants placed on the south side of Veterans. So that was part of the issue that the community had with us blocking Veterans to fight that fire, was that we didn't have fire hydrants. We have fire hydrants on the north side of Veterans. We don't have them on the south side. We have them in the community that we were able to use, but we didn't have any right there on Veterans to attach our fire trucks to, and we had to string a line across the highway and shut it down while we were fighting that fire. But we brought the fire under control and removed the line as quickly as possible. So that's one of the issues we're addressing going forward with Councilman Segura. Okay, the second fire we had in the city was Friday evening at 6 o'clock in Veterans Heights area. When we received the call as a house fire fully involved with a baby inside. We responded, we received the call and responded to the scene within an acceptable standard that's set by the NFPA. Within minutes, we had the fire under control and the baby rescued from the property. Okay, we had members of the community posting while we on the scene investigating the fire that somebody died in the fire and the baby was in intensive care. None of this was true. It does nothing to help our cause by people posting erroneous information like that on the scene. Fire needs 3 things to exist. It needs something to burn, it needs fire, and it needs oxygen. Take any one of the 3 away, you don't have fire. You add anything to that, you increase the size. Any one of those 3, if you add it to it, it increases the size of the fire. We had reports of individuals on the scene that when the call came in that they were breaking the windows at the house to let the smoke out while they add oxygen to the fire. So that was part of the community's issue with that, and that's why we asked the community to help us in that regard. You know, early detection was an issue with both of the fires. because the first fire, the fire was through the roof by the time we got there. That tells me that the fire had been burning for an extended period of time before anybody noticed it. The second fire, the house was fully involved by the time we got the call, so that tells me we didn't get early enough notification on it. The other thing the community can do is help us respond quicker by clearing the roadway. You know, when you see that emergency vehicles pulling up behind you, pull to the right and stop and allow us to proceed on to where we need to be at that time. Now, Councilman Brennan asked me last council meeting about the protection for veterans' height. I'm comfortable with the fire protection. Am I totally satisfied with it? No. I'm comfortable because we've added personnel to the fire service to help mitigate fires. Scientifically, it's been proven if you have 3 people on a fire truck, 4 people can do 50% more work. Well, they can eliminate a risk in half the time as 3 people. 1 more person reduces the amount of time we have incidents by 50%. If you have 5 people, it reduces it by 50% further from that, just to the additional person on the scene. So by us adding people to the equipment, help us to eliminate incidents quicker. I'm not happy. We still are within the response time that the standard is set by the National Fire Protection Association. Would I like us to be a lot closer? Yes, we are. So that's another issue that with this administration we're addressing, to bring a temporary station in a lot closer to the Susan Park area. And we fast tracking that to try to get this temporary station up so we can reduce that on the road time, the travel time of our apparatus. In the meantime, like I said, the community can help us by installing smoke detectors and stuff like that, and helping us clear the way by pulling to the side and stopping and let our apparatus through until we could address a lot of these issues better. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Any question?
Any questions? Nope, see none.
All right, last thing is Ms. Heather Hilliard. Heather?
It seems timely that I'm brought up to talk about floodplain management in light of what's occurring right now. While we were sitting here, I got an update from the National Weather Service. This will last through this evening about dinner time. We've already had 3 to 3.5 inches of rain with 3 microbursts as we're sitting here. So it's timely that we are talking about floodplain management and mitigation efforts and the things that we've been doing with code enforcement and emergency management to improve the safety of the community. So there's just a few things I want to bring up today that we will talk about.
Are you going to discuss the building of the Ark as well?
I could do that, and I'm sure I could find a grant for that if you'd like.
Great, perfect.
Because I'm taller. I'm taller, sorry. Okay, thanks, Mike. It is a little bit small. So one of the things that we look at for floodplain management is the community rating system. This is what FEMA has that since 1971, the city of Kenner has participated in this program, and it looks at 4 main aspects. We're looking at public information. We look at mapping, so you all know, I've seen your flood map, and regulations to help do some mitigation. And we also look at various ways to do flood protection and other forms of mitigation too. Similar to other ratings that the city has done, with our 18 different facets that we review within those 4 categories. And in the past year, we've been working very hard at this 5-year rating that we go through. It's on a 5-year cycle, similar to other things we do. And I want to call out some members of the code department that aren't normally recognized that have been extraordinarily helpful, getting us in compliance, improving things, would be the assistance with Dana and Grace, and Mr. Muhammad's office, and Jamie Shorkey, who has done a tremendous job to make sure before the auditors came in that we had things that we needed in place for elevation. The main takeaway today is, what have we been doing? We are a community rating city. Some of the things that are on the agenda today, like updates to the floodplain ordinance,
The bottom line of that is if we get that passed today, it will help reduce flood insurance rates in the AE flood zone by 20%, according to FEMA, and in the X zone, 10%. That graphic right there is directly from the FEMA website, and it talks about explaining flood insurance rates. So for eligible policies for the National Flood Insurance Program, those rates would go down. That's one of the main components of the ordinance changes today. Why do we do all of these things all year long? It's to reduce risk. So some of the things that we look at are statistics about research. 40% of communities that participate in areas similarly situated as ours with the AE flood zone reduce risk just by taking some of these steps that are recommended by the federal government. Some of the things are educational awareness. So we have every household and business in Kenner will be getting a flyer soon before the end of the year showing you some shortcuts that I'm going to show you images of today. That's also on there that we're voting to mail this out to better inform the public. So that's some of the things that we do. All right, so under public information, mapping and preparing information online. You've heard before in the spring we showed when we got the elevation certificates online, we actually went through step by step, and online is a tutorial we created so that if you need your elevation certificate or you're looking to reduce your flood insurance rates, you can actually get it online. You don't have to come into the office anymore. You can download the FEMA FIRM map, that flood insurance rating map online that was issued and approved in February of 2018. We also have an interactive map that I'd like to show you. One of the things that we did for this rating, and we are one of the only communities in the state that's done this, is you can go on to the link that's on your postcard that you'll be receiving, and you can get the city of Kenner in a map. You will notice that this red circle at the top looks like several lines. When you click on it, a drop-down box appears, and there are 24 different mapping layers that you can look at for your house. So what I've done here is the current AE flood zone is highlighted, so you can see the green area is today the FEMA flood rate AE flood zone for your property. The pink, I also chose 1971. Where was this city when we started participating in the program? You can see the improvements, because if you see only pink, those areas now are not in the flood zone for AE. They've improved to an X. All right, so your flood insurance rates would have gone down in that area. So we have some visual things. You can see the Katrina flood depths for your area. You can see the different soil types. You can see storm surge. All of that's online. So if you like looking at those things and putting in your address and seeing what's right at your house or your business, you can do that. Another part of the flood rating that we're just finishing up after today's meeting, we have different zones. Severe repetitive loss has a technical definition by FEMA, as do repetitive loss properties, about how many times have you been flooded at a certain dollar amount of damage. You can look up to see if your home or a home near you is one of those repetitive loss properties. So I've circled here on the right that we pulled up, RLL is what it's called, but it's spelled out on the map. You can see that on the left-hand side is what you've highlighted to review. And in this case, when you pull it up, oops, Mike, can you go back one? Yeah. Sorry. When you pull it up, you can see little red bubbles. In some of those areas, I've talked to Councilman Carroll, we have a federal opportunity for a very large $6 to $8 million federal grant for Lincoln Manor and University City to improve drainage. This ordinance contributes again to us being able to leverage the improvements we've done by educating the community as well as all of the mitigation efforts to get those dollars. This year, the grant looks at what are you doing specifically in these areas. And we've actually done the work the previous year with Public Works. So we have a study that shows the details that we need to do. So these kind of improvements bring millions of dollars to Kenner. We did a 3-year phase study with state funding. Previously at University City, this would be federal funding. So all of these components that we put, technical language in ordinance, bailing out flyers, help us to do things like, one back one, please, get you a 20% reduction in the AE flood zone or the 10% reduction in the X flood zone. So the change that you see today about why are we mailing a postcard, it's so you can get to this information and give it to your insurance agent, so you can get to this information and just find out more about where you live. Okay. Any questions that I could answer?
I guess my only question is if you can you share this presentation with our offices, with our
Absolutely.
council office? Thank
Absolutely.
you. Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. We do have today on our agenda, item 12A. I presume that you're giving this as a prelude to that.
Yes.
Are you going to be answering questions later when that legislation comes up? Or
I'm happy to do that, or I can answer them now if it's more convenient.
Okay. Well, I'll ask a few now, and I'll
Okay.
see if I have any at that point in time as well. Since we do have item 12A up on our agenda, and it does deal with this in particularly, is it going to have any negative impact on our homeowners?
No, sir. If anything, this is going to improve because it's going to reduce flood insurance rates by 20% in the AE flood zone once this Class 6 comes back from FEMA, and 10% in the X. So no residents currently that have their flood insurance are negatively impacted by this occurrence.
Okay. And as far as the zoning of classifications of homes in Kenner, are there any changes to those classifications?
So that's a good question. So everything that was passed in February of 2018, the federal FEMA firm maps, the flood insurance rating maps, stays the same. There are 23 residents, however, that have submitted for letters of map adjustment. They have provided through documentation to FEMA, hey, I've elevated my house, you didn't take that into account over the years that you were updating maps. There is actually, those 23 homes that have had that adjustment are also on one of those layers of the map. So they have shown they've done mitigation steps, elevation, changing flood vents, elevating their HVAC systems, and they took those steps and they got the federal government to reduce their zoning so that their insurance would improve as well. So any of those changes are a little red box, and it's actually a layer that you can look up online.
Okay. And as far as changes, we do have some changes with the residential areas, and according to your presentation, the AE, for example, it's a decrease, what I take from it. It's a 20% decrease. That's correct?
That is correct, according to FEMA and what they post online. And that was the box in the slide that I'll be giving to you, is actually from their website, that it's a decrease of 20% for the AE flood zone, which is more mid to northern Kenner, the green that you saw on the map, whereas the gray X is more southern Kenner and kind of up Williams Boulevard, for lack of a better description. And that's a 10% reduction of rate.
The 10% is for the X, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
20 for AE, 10 for X.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like this is going to be very pleasing to our residents then, I take it.
I hope so. A lot of work has gone into this, hard work to make things easier for residents and businesses, to make it a safer place, because it's about public safety and protecting lives and property, and that's what we've been working very hard to do.
Now, and I mentioned, and I couch my questions, is if it's homeowners and residents, as far as the businesses, it's going to impact them in a positive way as well?
I believe so. I will get back to get the specific language on that, though. I did not include that in the slide. I was targeting kind of the residents that might be here that have questions.
Okay. As far as this legislation that we have today, how does it impact in that legislation for businesses?
It's going to save them money too, but I'm not comfortable just quoting off the top of my head. I'd rather look it up factually for you.
That works as long as you're
Okay.
saying it's a positive.
It is positive, yes.
Okay, very good. And that's all the questions I have, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Wilmot. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for coming today for your presentation. Obviously, when you say things like the grant to improve the Lincoln Manor subdivision, that is something we will be definitely staying in touch and to keep the community abreast of it, and also as it relates to the city. But I also wanted to add that Councilman Brennan, who is District 5, you know, we share that relationship with Lincoln Manor subdivision and Loyola together.
Yes.
So his input as well is important, because what affects Lincoln Manor affects Loyola. So
And it affects the whole city too. with something
exactly.
like
So
this,
I
yes.
just want to let, when you say Loyola, sometimes people don't get the connection, but we are tied at the hip as it relates to District 1 and 5 for everything that happens, and his input and his support is always welcome, and it is always there. So I just wanted to let everybody know that he does support on this, and we'll be supporting on this also for the residents of the Loyola subdivision. Thank you.
We'll be talking in the next 30 days before
Thank
it's
you.
due.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Councilmember Hayes.
When is the flyer going out that you mentioned?
So there is a first reading today, and second reading will be at 2 weeks. And then after the, I'm going to say it wrong, legal tried to coach me on the 10 days after the legislative announcement. I'm looking at Eric, like 10 days, 17-day rest period is my slang. It's ready to go. So we did the bid process. We choose the lowest bidder. They already have the artwork and the postcard, and we already have the addresses pooled. So it just has to wait for the legislative process to finish. But it will be out, estimation, Thanksgiving before Christmas.
Great. That's a great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one more quick question. How, and maybe you might not be able to answer now, but you can answer it later. But so if we approve this and the rates get into, and everything gets lowered, how will the insurance companies be notified? Is it going to be through FEMA, or would a resident have to notify, the citizen, did the city of Kenner did this? So, I mean, is it something that's going to be global, or does the individual have to do it on their own?
So you're comparing it, I believe, to the fire insurance where the person was responsible for going to the insurance company. FEMA will let us know. We will obviously be making it well known, and we'll have to work with them to see if it's FEMA telling the insurance companies, because one of the things we do is send it's nicknamed a big 3-letter to realtors, insurance companies, and bankers. We will be sending them a letter. So we will do notification, but as far as an individual's policy, they may have to, just like with their fire insurance policy, they may have to do a little bit of the legwork, but the heavy lifting's been done by the city.
Okay, great. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Okay, I'll still be here at the time of the vote.
Actually,
so if you have,
Councilmember
I'm
Brennan.
sorry.
Councilman Brennan.
Your presentation was excellent, so thank you. Normally, what I've seen with my experience is FEMA notifies, the companies are updated at some point, so it all becomes pretty automatic, and it may not be effective immediately, it may be at renewal or something like that, but normally the companies are notified and well-versed on it.
So I should add that's a good point. With the passage today, if we pass 12A with the changes after the 17-day layperson rest period, it's actually going next week to FEMA for the official scoring to happen. They get 90 days. We may have it by the time that this little flyer goes out. And I already told them, if you give it to me before the flyer goes out, I'm putting Class 6 on this flyer. And that was okay with the people that we selected for lowest bid. So anytime 45 days to 90 days, we will have the official notification of the score that we've received.
And we can certainly start rumors out on the street that rates are going down by gazillions. So,
I'm emergency management. We do not like rumors.
Thank you. Your presentation was very nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. Mayor's on.
I'm done, but can you start the council meeting now? Thank you for your cooperation. I appreciate it, council.
This
Just
is
joking.
the mayor's meeting, and now the council meeting can start now. Anything? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Wilmot.
Yeah, I just had a special intention that I wanted to add that was remiss in not mentioning it earlier. Jerry Becknell passed away, and Joanne Becknell's husband, he worked with the Kenner Police Department for many years. I ask for your prayers for the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot.
That will conclude the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, second by Councilmember Carroll. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 9, public hearings for final passage. Item 9A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,601, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 3894 and establishing a new fee for the reproduction of fire reports for the City of Kenner Fire Department.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to open public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. I'd like to know what the new fee is going to be as opposed to what it is now. I think it's what, $10 now? Do I stand for correction on that? I think it's $10, and as opposed to what the new fee is. That's all I
Is
have.
that all you have? Okay. Okay. Chief Bergeron, could you answer that question?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the current fee and the old fee was $10, and we're requesting to increase it to $30.
Okay. And that's primarily for insurance companies and
That's right.
businesses to, I mean, but it's primarily used for businesses that request it, correct?
Most of the fire report requests do come from insurance companies. We do have some residents, but the majority of the requests do come from insurance companies.
Okay, thank you. And that's hard copy version?
Correct.
Does it include email versions or
We don't
electronic?
email reports, we do hard copies.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Hayes.
And I think we also should mention the last 2 years, the number each year was in the 20s. So again, we're talking about a volume of about 20 a year.
Ms. Foshee?
Chief Bergeron, your department did a survey of the cost in surrounding facilities to determine whether this was a reasonable cost?
Correct. We reached out to several other fire departments, the surrounding departments, and we kind of did an average of what other departments are doing, and that's how we came up with that fee. So we're really under, I think the original ordinance that's in place right now is from 1984, to where we're just trying to come to date with today's fire department and, fees.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 9B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,613. An ordinance approving the plan of re-subdivision of lots B2 and B3 into lot B2A, which lots are owned by North Kenner Investors, LLC, and amending ordinance 2047 to allow the addition of a single 24-unit apartment building to the existing planned unit development located on lot B2A, Highway Park subdivision.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to open the public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Planning.
Yes.
Mr. Director, you have a presentation.
I do, Madam President. Thank you. The applicant in the case is Ms. Celeste Favreau and Shane, 3925 North Service Road, West, Suite 105, Metairie, Louisiana. Lots B2 and B3 front Williams Boulevard on the west and 44th Street on the south, and bounded by Lake Trail Drive on the east and the Treasure Chest Casino parking lot on the north. The site is currently developed as the Sugar Mill Apartments, which includes 545 existing apartment units. The property is zoned Special Ordinance 2047, adopted May 9th, 1977, and allowed the development of a 540-unit apartment complex. The applicant did conduct an early neighborhood meeting for this project on June 25th, 2019. They held it at the Hilton Garden Inn, sent out 88 invitations. 3 residents attended, and there were no significant issues that were raised. One issue was raised regarding the potential relocation of the entrance to the apartment complex from 44th Street to Williams Boulevard. However, due to the nature of the developed site, it would be impossible for them to do that. So that was really the only issue that was raised. The surrounding development on the east and the southeast, it's all residential, single-family residential, and zoned single-family residential. Just to the south on the western edge of the development across 44th Street, there's the block 11, zoned as R3 and developed as 3 and 4 family residential. And then the next block is developed as commercial. Across the street, Williams Boulevard to the west is zoned Special Ordinance 10,947, which was adopted July 23rd, 2015, and approved a multi-tenant commercial retail development, which is currently the Planet Fitness large development. The purpose for the re-subdivision is to place the Sugar Mill Apartments on one single lot of record. Existing lot B2 is irregularly shaped and contains 399,001 square feet. Lot B3 is irregularly shaped also and contains 283,893 square feet. New Lot B2A will be irregular shaped and contains 682,894 square feet. And the proposed re-subdivision meets all the requirements for a simple re-subdivision, including no new public services or easements required. In terms of the development, the proposal includes the addition of an approximately 26,000 square foot, 46.5 foot tall, single 24-unit apartment building located in the north central section of the existing sugar mill site. The new apartment building will replace the 2 existing paved tennis courts and bring the total number of units within the sugar mill apartments to 579. The proposed building will include 24 units. The exterior will be clad with cement board or hardy board, including for all the wall returns, paneling, and trim. The building will also include an interior fire sprinkler system. Outside of the addition of the apartment building, there will be no changes made to the site and no negative impacts to existing parking, traffic, or stormwater runoff are expected. The city's landscape plan reviewer reviewed the development, and the proposed landscaping meets the requirements of the city's landscape ordinance. Finally, this particular development is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan as it shows new lot B2A as high-density residential. And the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Dufour. Do you have any questions from the public or from the council? See none. Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to close public hearing. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. Item 12A is summary ordinance number 12,614, an ordinance amending the Kenner City Code of Ordinances, Chapter 5, Article 4, flood damage ordinance to revise the definitions of flood zones in accordance with new Federal Emergency Management Agency FEMA updates to reflect changes in the FEMA-approved and adopted flood insurance risk maps, incorporate modifications with the FEMA community rating system, and to provide for related matters.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Do we have I know we have an updated ordinance. Does anyone have any questions on this?
Yes, the clerk's office has received an amendment for this ordinance. This ordinance will be amended in Globo to restore flood zone VE, which also clarifies the freeboard requirement of 2 feet in flood zone AE. I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney on the amendment.
Councilmember Wilmot.
Question as far as the VE flood zone, if you can just elaborate.
Sure. Previously, the firm maps were done in 1995. The next update would have been in 2005, which didn't happen. And it took us through 2018 to get those flood maps updated. Previously, we had other flood zones within the levee district inside of Kenner. We have no VE flood zone inside the levee. However, the VE is outside the levee, so once you crest over to go to the boat launch, that is all VE. There is no residences there. There is no impact for changes there. It's everything that currently stands in the ordinance. But the definition, why I only spoke on AE and X, those are the only things that are inside where the buildings are in the city. So the VE language does not impact any residences for Kenner.
So we need to have this legislation or this amendment in order to clarify that, correct?
Correct.
That is not correct. This is leaving, when the ordinance was originally written, or the amendment to the ordinance was originally written, it was written to remove that. It was already in the ordinance. The way it's going back in is just leaving it the way it was without making changes one way or the other to that specific flood zone.
So what's the need for the amendment then? Explain that.
Because the amendment that is proposed, or was initially proposed, was taking it out, and it shouldn't have been taken out, so it is easier to substitute. Instead of saying, we're taking out and putting back what was originally there, we're just leaving it the way it was originally.
Clarifies it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Great, thank you, Councilman. Any other questions? Seeing none, motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
One more. Motion passes 6-0. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by, oh, I'm sorry, that was on the amendment. Now, can we please vote as amended? Sorry. Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve as amended. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution reappointing Captain Robbie Bassino to the Municipal Fire and Police Civil Service Board of the City of Kenner, whose current term expired on July 30th, 2019, for an additional term of 3 years.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13B is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 7 of the Rules of Organization, Business Order, and Procedures of the Council of the City of Kenner and rescheduling the Kenner City Council meeting of January 2nd, 2020 to January 9th, 2020, and rescheduling the Kenner City Council meeting of January 17th, 2020 to January 24th, 2020.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13C is a resolution ratifying the appointment of Edward S. Rapier, Jr. as City Attorney for the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13D is a resolution appointing Arita L. Bohannon as Court Magistrate for the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13E is a resolution calling a public hearing to determine whether the structures located at 160507 31st Street in Kenner, Louisiana shall be abated by repair, rehabilitation, demolition, or removal.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 13F is a resolution calling a public hearing to determine whether the structures located at 3033 Lexington Street in Kenner, Louisiana shall be abated by repair, rehabilitation, demolition, or removal.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,615, an ordinance approving the use of state contract numbers 4400014555 and 4400014726, and a financing agreement with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the purchase of portable radios for a cost not to exceed $633,056.23.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15B is summary ordinance number 12,616, an ordinance authorizing the administration to utilize existing state contract number 4400005781 with the Hahn Company to purchase office furniture and other related matters through GBP Direct for the City of Kenner departments citywide.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 12,617, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsibility to provide food service for the Kenner Police Department jail facility in accordance with seal bid number 19-6508 for an amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 12,618, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from DRN's Corporation to supply uniforms citywide in accordance with seal bid number 19-6506 and an amount not to exceed $30,000 for the Department of General Services.
Motion by Councilmember Carroll, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 12,619, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Peretz Menwear Incorporated for the purchase of uniforms and related services on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 19-6507 and an amount not to exceed $80,000 annually for the Kenner Police Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 12,620, an ordinance accepting the responsive bid received from Jack B. Harper Electrical LLC and an amount not to exceed $5,043.30 to replace mast, arm, base, and signals at 306 Loyola Drive in accordance with telephone bid number T19-2702 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 12,621, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bids received from Riddle, All-American, and BSN Sports LLC to provide football and volleyball equipment on an as-needed basis in accordance with bid numbers 19-1586 and an amount not to exceed $30,000 annually for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brennan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion. One more.
Councilmember Carroll.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 12,622, an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Bonaventure Incorporated to purchase various round hydrant markers for city fire hydrants in accordance with bid number 19-1588 in an amount not to exceed $6,765 for the Kenner Fire Department.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15I is a resolution approving Amendment Number 1 to the agreement with Fleming Construction Company, LLC, dated August 29, 2018, to provide drainage maintenance on an as-needed basis in accordance with seal bid number 18-6433 to increase the not-to-exceed amount by $100,000 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15J is in resolution approving change order number 2 to the contract with Command Construction LLC dated July 31st, 2018 regarding the construction of drainage improvements to the University City and Audubon Place subdivision areas, Phase 3, Two-Lane Drive from Kilgore Place to Houston Place and Kilgore Place from Two-Lane Drive to Northwestern Drive, State Project Number H.010107, City of Kenner Project Number 2012-001-DR, for a net increase of $12,049.27, resulting in a total contract amount of $1,487,300.24 for the Department of Public Works.
Councilman Wilmot.
Mr. Shriner, again, I just wanted to reiterate, this is for important subsurface drainage, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
It's going to help us with the, any flooding issue, not any flooding issues, but it will help with flooding issues in that area that it's being installed, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, very good, thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 15K is a resolution approving change order number 1 to the construction agreement with Frischertz Electric Company Incorporated dated March 19, 2018 regarding the wastewater treatment plant number 3 generator banking project, decreasing the contract amount by $158,076 for the Department of Public Works.
Motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Carroll to approve. Council members, please vote.
One more? Motion passes 6-0. Item 15L is a resolution approving change order number 4 to the agreement with Barrier Construction Company LLC dated November 20th, 2017 regarding the New Orleans Airport Connector Road State Project Number H.011276, Federal Aid Project Number H.011276, Kenner Public Works Project Number 2014-003-A-RB for an increase to the contract amount by $868,001.50, an increase of the contract by 169 calendar days for the Department of Public Works.
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, Mr. Schreiner, this has no impact or no increase to the city, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And as a matter of fact, we reduced the obligation of the city by $17,000.
Beautiful. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman. Motion by Councilman Wilmot, seconded by Councilman Brannigan to approve. Council members, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance amending the Kenner Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Section 56A of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to establish a no parking zone on California Avenue. Item 16B is the third supplemental ordinance authorizing the issuance of $12,500,000 of refunding bonds, Series 2019 of the Kenner Consolidated Sewage District, State of Louisiana, in accordance with the terms of a general bond ordinance prescribing the form and certain terms and conditions of said bonds, providing for the sale of said bonds, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Item 16C is an ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from MPRESS to provide FEMA flood update mailouts in accordance with bid number 19-2713 and an amount not to exceed $10,000 for the Inspection and Code Enforcement Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees. See none.
Councilman Wilmot.
I just wanted to make a comment. Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to make a comment. I do notice that we have some of our senior citizens in the audience today, and I truly appreciate it. And y'all consistently come and show an interest in your local government, and we thank you. If you will, just raise your hands. We would appreciate y'all. Thank you very much for coming. That's all I have. Thank you.
Oh, Councilman Brannigan.
About 6 months ago, put out the Put Kenner First deal where you're spending money in Kenner. We are 2 months from Christmas, and a lot of people spend a lot of money in the next couple of months on Christmas presents, so buy as many of them in Kenner as you can. And I noticed that from the mayor's report that sales tax revenue is up, so my little deal from 6 months ago may have spurred some people spending some money in our city. Keep doing it.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President. And this is a public service announcement for the City of Kenner Farmers Market. It has started back again. It's on Saturdays from, I think, 9 until 2 in the evening. I think they have some new vendors and are always looking for other vendors, but I believe that, we as citizens in the City of Kenner should support. So if you have some time in the morning with your family, with your children, to take a walk in Rivertown, walk on the levee, to see the water, to support the vendors, I think it would be appreciative, and they would appreciate your passing by to talk to them. They come from all over the different parishes, not only locally, but parishes that are 2 or 3 parishes away. So I think if you have some time, even some schools that may be able to want to come to a field trip, I think it'd be well worth it. So we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully this weekend they may cancel with the inclement weather, but following this weekend for sure, the farmers market is something that I'm advocating, and hopefully everyone will take the opportunity to go out there and to support them. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilmember Carroll. Councilman Hayes.
Yes, I'd just like to remind everybody, before our next meeting, On Thursday, the 7th of November, at 10 o'clock, we'll have the Veterans Day celebration in Veterans Park, so please, everybody attend. It's, again, 10 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay. You want- Can you give him, hold on one moment.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Madam President. One more thing I forgot. I just want to announce my assistant, Kelly, told me that our Lanyap Health Fair was scheduled for tomorrow. It has been canceled. The new tentative date is November the 30th. So I want to thank Ms. Fauché and General Services for all their support. We're going to have to reschedule till the end of November, but we will keep you informed if that date sticks. But again, the date for tomorrow has been canceled because of the weather. So thank everyone who were participating, who had planned on coming out. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Great, thank you. And I just want to remind everyone that this upcoming week is Halloween on Thursday. There are going to be trick-or-treaters on Thursday night. So just be careful. Don't hit any small children or large children at all. But anyway, just be careful. Keep your glow colors on and be careful. Thanks.
You know what? I have.
Oh, Councilman Carroll again.
I know I said I had one more thing, but I received something to the office as it relates to Halloween, as it relates to men and women who are physically challenged, and about them trick-or-treating with a certain color pumpkin. I think it's blue.
Yes, autistic.
Autistic, correct. So I think I thank the person from sending it to me, but I think we need to understand that if we see older individuals who are participating with their parents or with their children, that we don't look at it in a negative way, and that we support this group and be engaging and thank them for coming out and participating in the process. So just to let people know, it is a purple, Madam President, blue?
Blue is blue.
A blue jack-o'-lantern. So please support if you happen to get a man or woman, a young girl or boy that may come to your home for trick-or-treat. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thanks. Ms. Fauché?
And I'm sorry if you mentioned this, and I'm doubling up, but tonight in Rivertown is the first event in the Relay of Voices. The lady running the full river, she's today interviewing people in Kenner. She'll be part of an interpretive dance tonight and storytelling. She's run all the full length. We're her 96th stop, and in each location she meets people and learns more about the community and then brings that into her storytelling. 6 o'clock tonight. It's being moved indoors to the planetarium because it was supposed to be outdoors, and it's not going to be nice out there. The movie at 7 o'clock is Aladdin, the new Aladdin. In case you haven't seen it, I have not. Very excited. Also being moved indoors to the planetarium. So tonight's events are not canceled. They're being moved indoors. And then tomorrow will be tomorrow is the dance workshop, and I believe she'll also be at the farmer's market again, provided that weather is cooperating. So have a chance, have nothing better to do, or do, but still want to come on out to Rivertown tonight and see a movie and see a really interesting lady.
Thank you, Ms. Fauché.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Yes, Ms. Franklin? Ms. Franklin, if you would like to approach, just state your name, your full name, and your address again for the record.
Sorry. It's Anna Franklin. I live at 2733 Tifton Street, and I'm coming to announce to the council that we have a new civic association for Veterans Heights subdivision. Okay? And I want you guys to get ready because we're going to have you busy. Okay? We're going to put that area back the way it was. I've been over there for 24 years. And what I don't like about it now is what I see. And the first thing on it that I don't like is the cleanliness, the way that it's being kept. We can't deal with that anymore. Okay, and like I told them the other night when we announced it at a meeting, my main objective is this. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, what color your skin is, whatever your nationality is, whatever we have to do that Kenneth says we have to do for that neighborhood to put it back, that's what we're planning on doing. So I'm not going to be pointing fingers at this person or that person. We're all going to work together. This is going to be a community of unity, okay? Now, that's the way that I really feel about it. We have to clean it up first, put it back together, get everybody to learn that we can do that neighborhood if everybody is willing to work together. We cannot do it by ourselves. And right now, we are working with code, which are my favorite friends, because we have to follow the rules, because they riding around in the pretty white trucks and, you know, and everything. So that's my main objective. So if you hear my name, Ms. Anna say code this, I'm gonna work code, okay? You don't have to worry about it. We're gonna work them, okay? But I just wanted to say that we had an incident with our first meeting, and I happened to wake up earlier on the 17th to go to the gym, which we had got permission to use. I thought it did. They had the dates and everything became all mixed up and wrong. And when I passed by, well, I saw it before I got to it. I saw the NCIS trucks. And I'm trying to figure out where are those trucks going till I saw the gym. So I say, no, this has got to be wrong. We're going to have a movie all into one today, NCIS and Veterans Hike Subdivision, because somebody is in the wrong spot. But when I did get out and I talked to Miss Ellie that works for NCIS, and she was very, very apologetic. And I called and I talked with her and I thanked her for everything. It was just a misunderstanding from what I'm getting. They had one date and somebody else said another date. But she tried to work it out, but she couldn't. But I really appreciate it, and I thanked her for that and talked to her and everything. And she really felt bad, but I didn't want her to feel bad because we do have times when things are miscommunicated the wrong way. So my thing is today is that when, you know, by being here, I wanted to get it straight that we need to make sure that when we're doing things and that if an incident come up, we need to know so that we can work together to readjust and change the areas and the times on which we can have everything. Just like I said, we have to learn to work together to accomplish what we need. And if we're going to start balling off in the beginning, it's not going to work. So I don't want to spend too much of my time and none of the residents' time trying to figure out all of these other things. That's part of what I have to do. So I just got through talking to Mr. Chad and everything. So we're going to get together and we're going to work it out because the only place that we have to use for our association right now is Susan Park Gym. We just have to get our times and dates and everything together so that we can do that. But I want to, wanted to let you know that because of the improvement of the airport, and don't get me wrong by this, that's a great thing, great thing to do, more jobs economically and everything for everybody. But when they built the airport, the traffic deterred and came into our neighborhood, and they tore up streets. 31st Street needs to be redone totally. It is torn down to the ground. We had 18-wheelers, tractor trailers, trucks and everything that tore up come down my street. They ripped the wires off the apartments and the houses, and everybody had to go in their pockets and replace all of that wiring and everything that was pulled off. So we really need some help with that area real bad.
Thank you, Ms. Franklin.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilman Carroll. Yes, Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Madam President, and obviously thank you, Ms. Anna, for coming in for both subjects today. We have been working for some time to try to put together the Veteran Heights subdivision, and, thank God we're there right now. There have been a few hiccups, but, we're going to go forward and make sure that we get it done. As it relates to the cleanup, your first statement about the Veteran Heights, it falls right into line. I mean, you've been there 24 years with the conversation we had last week with the Susan Park for the ladies who have been there 24 and 30 years like yourself, who were used to something one way, the neighborhood changes for whatever reason, and you expect it to maintain the same way it had been, and it should be. So I guess with Mr. Mohammed's support, we are doing a number of sweeps in all through the areas to ensure that, we, the administration, the council, we're serious about the blighted conditions or not having blighted conditions in the city of Kenner. And the civic organization is an organization that will be able to support that, not only with the airport coming in and all the changes there, but the day-to-day things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So we look forward to the organization flourishing, look forward to the support from the city of Kenner, look forward to passing on information as much as we can to the people who live there now and for the people who will be moving in to the Veteran Heights and the Susan Park subdivision. Okay. So thank you again. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. And thank you, Ms. Franklin. As I said at the meeting, I think it's great to have new civic organizations, and I think that's, and good community partners. So thank you. Mr. Morella.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 47 years. Before I get started, I want to keep the families in our prayers of the 3 workers who lost their lives in that tragedy that just took place in New Orleans in that building collapse. Second, I want to commend our fire department for a job well done containing those 2 fires and getting that child out of that building. Like I said at the last council meeting, our most valuable resource is our employees, especially our first responders. Now, third, I want to address this to Mayor Zahn. As you know, we have a conflict with our Veterans Day and our Memorial Day services with the parish. At the parish council meeting Wednesday, I spoke to Councilwoman Lee Shang, now parish president-elect Lee Shang, and she said she would look into it. So I'm asking you if you could get together with the administration in the parish and try to come up with a solution to break this conflict of scheduling, simply because my VFW Post 7732, a lot of our members belong to American Legion Post 350. They would like to attend both events, but they can't because both of them are scheduled at the same time on the same day. Now, I can remember back, we used to have ours at one time on a Wednesday back here. How it ever got to Thursday, I'm not aware of what happened there. But they're telling me that they have difficulty getting the bands. That's why they got theirs on a Thursday. So she told me she would look into it, but I'd like this administration to coordinate with the parish and try to get this resolved. So our veterans that belong to both American Legion and VFW can attend these functions. That's all I have. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Okay, Mayor.
Thank you.
You got something you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, basically, when the answer's no, I don't know what the cooperation can be. So, and that's the answer we receive. So, and we've had this conversation, you and I, like this, and also privately. Maybe Cynthia will be a little bit different with it. I don't know. I have no problem asking her administration. But when you continue to ask the question and it said the response is no, we're not moving one of them. I don't have a response for you besides that, except maybe Cynthia will be a little bit different with the situation, and maybe we can swap back and forth. Look, I'm willing to work that out with her, but it hasn't worked to presently.
And that's exactly why I'm bringing it up, Mayor, because we do have a new administration coming in.
Right. No,
and
I
I
get
think
it.
she might be willing to work with us to get this conflict resolved.
Right. I'm just talking about the past.
Right. But we got a new administration coming in January.
That's no problem.
We got a long time before May of next year.
We'll pursue that.
Okay. And I'd like to say one other, can I get a few extra seconds?
Yeah.
I just want to say this concerning the rumor. Over the years, I've seen rumors get started that they got started simply because there was some substance. I've seen what started out as a rumor over the years in time turn out to be a reality. Now, I'm not saying all rumors, but I've seen it happen. What started out as a rumor over the years became a reality. So I believe that most of them, they have some substance for the rumor to even get started. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman McKinney.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. Mr. Morell, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say it again, and I was going to say it when Ms. Franklin spoke. All of us have phone numbers. All of us have contact. We ask people, call our office if you have any questions related to anything in the city, anything in the district. Maybe we could answer something more quickly rather than it snowballing into some just falsehood. So not you as well. I'm encouraging anyone in the city, and I think I speak for all of my colleagues and for the administration, call our offices if you have any questions, and if we can assist and we can answer any questions. We will do our best to give you the best information we can reveal or release at that time. I can't say it any more succinctly than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Councilman Carroll.
Yeah, Councilman Brennan, thanks for that information, and we always need that. But just to speak on Ms. Anna's behalf, she did call me. We did talk about it, and we had conversations as it relates to that particular one, and she has no qualms about calling me up, and that will continue from this point forward, I'm sure. So thank you for that support. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. Mr. Bassino, I believe he left. Mr. Taft? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name is Greg Taft. I live at 3720 West Loyola Drive here in Kenner. I just got a couple things I want to bring up. On Halloween, it may not be a bad idea to have some extra patrol out, because there has been some rumblings about people running stop signs and people not, especially in neighborhoods, not obeying the speed limits. So the children out, you never know when they're going to go on the road. The other thing I would like to recommend is maybe we have mosquito control to spray the night before Halloween, because it's been bad with the mosquitoes, and I know they sprayed earlier this week, but I know on West Loyola we still have those little vampires flying around and sucking our blood. And last but not least, I would like to show my appreciation. I think the council and administration did a good job by promoting Ed Rapier and Anita Bohannon to the position, and I'm also very hopeful that Lee Roussel will still be with us as the deputy CAO. So I think the moves were good, and I think it's positive for Kenner, and I think it will help move Kenner forward. But I still want to hope that Lee Roussel will still be with us, since she wasn't mentioned today. Thank you.
Mayor Zahn.
So I'll go ahead and make that announcement now. I didn't want to do it until, the council voted to put Ed Rapier in as the city attorney. So Ms. Lee Roussel has been promoted to deputy CEO. She would no longer be the acting deputy CEO. She would be the deputy CEO. And just like Mr. Rapier will no longer be the acting city attorney, he will now be the city attorney with you all's help. So I appreciate the 6-0, Councilman Seguin wasn't here, I know it would have been 7-0, but the 6-0 vote today from each and every one of you all, having the faith in Ed Rapier, who has done a fantastic job as assistant, and I tell you what, in the last 2 months, he's done an even better job as a city attorney than an assistant. Ms. Lee Roussel has been with the city of Kenner since 2006. Actually, when I came in, she's done a great job in her roles in the city attorney's office and as a city attorney before I got here, and as mayor with me for the last 2.5 years, but it was the time to make her the deputy CEO and be in third in command of the city of Kenner. So I appreciate y'all's support on everything. She will stay with us. Thank you, Mr. Teff.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas, I can't read the last name written. It's Buddy Gore Road. Anybody? Anybody? Okay. We'll move to Richard Brown. You have 3 minutes if you can state your name and address.
Thank you, Madam President. Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. I really just have 3 or 4 questions, and they're for different people. And 2 of them or 3 of them concern the fires we just recently had, especially the one where the child was seriously injured and was in critical condition, and the situation with the fire stations. And it's my understanding that as part of the workout deal with the state when we sold the Loyola Avenue Fire Station to the state, that it had to be torn down. We understand that. But part of that settlement with the state included almost $200,000 for the city to rent a temporary fire station in that area until they could build a permanent station. Yet there is no temporary station, and it's been almost a year. So my first question is, why has there not been a temporary station built, and are there plans to put one in that area somewhere? And the second question related to that, and this maybe is for the fire chief, Chief Morris, he did not give us the response times for that fire with a child. And it's customary, we hear response times all the time. When the call was received, when the units were dispatched, when they arrived. I would like somebody to give us the actual response times for that call rather than saying it was within, quote, acceptable guidelines. I would like to know when the call was received, when the first unit was dispatched, what station it was, when the first unit arrived on the scene, and what station it came from. I would think that should be public and made available. And then the next question regarding the permanent fire station, the city bought that property on Duke Drive for the new fire station. That's been almost a year and nothing's been done with it. What are the plans for that property? Is it still going to be used for a fire station? And when can we expect something to be done? And the last question was on item 15C on the agenda, which was an ordinance accepting a bid for food service for the Kenner Police Department. All the other ordinances accepting bids name the low bidder, name the person the contract is with. This one does not. Can somebody tell us who the low bidder was, who's getting the contract to provide the food service for the jail? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And I believe the answer to that is Messina's.
Was what?
Messina's is the one.
Messina's, right.
And there was
Restaurant.
they were the only bid.
Okay, thank you. Is someone going to answer the other question?
Yes, Mr. Rapier. A city attorney Rapier, permanent.
Not acting anymore.
He was just pretending.
Mr. Brown, the answers to your question is that the state provided dollars to the city in order to rent a temporary station, but what they used to come up with the dollars was a warehouse on one part of town and a house in another part of town. And so the city, there was no renting of a fire, there was no suggested of a location, so they have provided dollars. If you were here earlier, you would have heard the fire chief say that they are looking to put a temporary station in or near where the current site of the new fire station. As to response times, the fire chief may have to answer that, but I know there's concerns with Homeland Security on that issue. As to the purchase, the land at Duke and Clemson, the fire station is in a design process. There are utilities being moved as we speak. There will shortly be an ordinance for the council to provide servitudes for those utilities. I believe that we are close to putting surcharges on the land, but we are finishing up the design of the new fire station.
Thank you.
And then there was a fourth question, but all I have here is Kenner, so I'm not sure what.
Yeah, thanks, the president answered
15C,
that.
15C, and I clarified it.
Yeah, who received the bid to provide the food service for the jail, and I think that's Messina's. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Stacy Alessandro, please state your name and address.
Hello, Stacy Alessandro, 3309 Chateau Boulevard. I'm here to talk about the fire with the baby as well, and I don't want to gloss over what happened and what's the current situation in Kenner. Mr. Brown is right. The city was given $179,000 for a temporary fire station in that area. This isn't something that just was sprung on us one day. This has been planned for months and months in advance of getting that money. Right now, there is no temporary fire station almost a year later. And what has happened? Worst case scenario, a house fire with a trapped baby. Now, the fire chief said that the call came in that there was a baby in the house and that the baby did not go in intensive care. That's just rumors that the public is hearing. I know the owner of the house. I've been to the house. The call was not called in with the baby. The firefighters found out when they got there, and I'm going to read something from WWL. Kenner, Louisiana, October 19th. An infant is in critical condition at University Medical Center after being rescued from a house fire in Kenner. The back of the house was covered in flames when firefighters arrived Friday night. According to Captain Gerard Deese, the first thing they heard was that there was a baby in the back of the building. We pulled a hose line to the back and started knocking it down. I jumped over the crib onto the floor, and the baby was right there on the floor. The baby was carried to a waiting ambulance and taken to UMC, where it is currently listed in critical condition. Let's not gloss over what happened. There's no fire station there. A baby was trapped in a house. If that was your child or your grandchild, in a burning house, how long is the acceptable time for the fire trucks to come? Instead of that firehouse is 2 blocks away, the one where the temporary station is supposed to be. If your baby is trapped in that smoke-filled, burning house, do you want the fire stations coming from, the fire trucks coming from 2 blocks away or 1.5 miles away? This is our current situation. This isn't, oh, what if, let's hope it doesn't happen. It happened. This is somebody's baby. This is not okay. What are we going to do about this? Chief, where did he go? What is the longest acceptable time to get turnaround time to get to a fire? What is the acceptable time?
The acceptable time is,
Well, I just turned it on, yeah.
all right, the acceptable time under the guidelines that we follow is from the time the call received, you have a window. From that point, you have a window to get dressed. From that point, you have a travel time. The total amount of time from the time the call received to the time we make the scene is approximately 6 minutes, plus or minus a few seconds, because they break it down in seconds. So we received the call. And I hate to do this because we stopped doing this in the industry since 9/11, because people listen to everything we say and then they know how long it would take us to get to a certain area. That's why I said I didn't want to get into the specifics of that. But we got the call, and on our report was 6 minutes from the time our dispatchers got the call to the time our first unit hit the scene.
Now, while you're up here, Chief, let me ask you. The firehouse was 2 blocks away. What do you think that time would have been?
I would love to have a firehouse 2 blocks away from everywhere.
But if it was where the old...
Hold on, this is not
Miss
a court
Alessandra-
of, this is not a court of law. I mean, we're not gonna.
I understand that. Ms. Alessandra, if you'd like to have a private conversation after the meeting with the chief, I would appreciate that, just because we're not really in a back and forth situation. So, thank you.
But I want to clarify something else, that when the captain gave that statement Friday, he didn't have all the information of what the dispatchers had. I have all the information that the dispatchers had. Call came in as a fully involved house with an infant inside.
Okay.
So we knew that. He didn't know that.
Okay.
But the dispatchers knew that. So we knew that as a fireman. That's why he shouldn't have done that interview.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Thank you, Chief.
Wait, I'd like the chief just to answer
Oh,
a question,
okay.
though. Is Ms. Alessandro's time's up?
Yes, your time
Well, I
is,
just wanted to say thank you to the fire department. They did a fantastic job, and we really appreciate them responding. This is nothing against the men and women of the fire department. They're amazing.
thank you, Ms. Alessandro. Mayor Zahn.
Which I believe the administration credited when I was in my mayor comments before the chief came up. But I think what's important to also, with the dramatics that are going on right now on this issue, that to let everyone know, and a question for the chief, when you got there, or when the fire department got there, was the baby the only individual in the house?
At the time we got there, the baby was the only individual in the house, but it wasn't reported that they had an adult in the house that left out and didn't realize the baby was still in the house.
I think, and thank you, Chief, I think that's the important part here. It's not the lack of response time, and it's not the lack of the fire department doing their job, it's the lack of parental guidance. The parental guidance that was not there is an issue when the baby's left in the house. So I don't want, look, thank God the baby has survived, but there's an issue here with leaving the home and leaving the residence and leaving that poor child in the house. It's not time to beat up on the fire department or the chief or the administration or the council that the baby, thank God, did not die in the house, but the baby had been abandoned and left in the house. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Zahn. Moving on, Ms. Fink, please approach. Full name and address.
My name is Reagan Fink, and I live at 4321 Arkansas, and I work at 1600 Joe Yenny. I wanted to thank y'all for always acknowledging my residents, and I also wanted to say that on November the 22nd, which is a Thursday at 2 o'clock, we're going to have a first responders appreciation, and it's for everyone in our government, especially our police and our firemen and women, because we have had a few incidents at the community where somebody set a microwave on fire or somebody decided to light a candle. And not only do have 4 engines showed up within record time, our ladies really love to watch them, those men come through in uniform. So not only do we get some help, but we get a show.
So are you requesting a calendar?
Right, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. I had one actually sit at the front door fixing her hair and asking if it was a requirement that they be good looking, because apparently so. But no, on November the 22nd at 2 o'clock, we will be doing a First Responders Appreciation Lunch. So you can come in, get a to-go box of food, and make our ladies happy. And we have a few female firefighters, so the men get a little bit as well. So, and anyone with children, our seniors love kids and they love the trick-or-treaters. So we do on Halloween from 6 to 8 allow little kids, big kids, anybody wanting candy to come on in. And I think the kids enjoy it, but the seniors enjoy it even more. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Anyone else that didn't sign up? Thank you. Motion to adjourn?